Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the SpyShackPodcast, the podcast where superfans get together and talk about the latest episode of Survivor. I am your host, Saul. No, I'm Mark stepping in for Saul again. And here with me are all three of my co-hosts. First up, Kim. Kim, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I want to apologize for bouncing out last week, but it's just something I had to do. I want to say that I love and I miss my son every day.
And your word of the week?
Oh, you had to pick me first.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say Donathan.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go to let's go to Randy next. Randy, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I thought this was an interesting episode, but I'm going to go with the word frustrating.
Frustrating. That's a
I know why you mean that. Okay. I'm happy it didn't happen, so.
And of course, we have Doug with us today. Doug, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Hello, hello.
Hello, and your word of the week?
I'm going to cheat, and my word for the week is just going to be that straight face emoji where it's just like,
meh.
Like that.
No, I think that's very valid. That's a pretty descriptive word.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It says everything I need to say.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
And Mark, how are you doing today?
I am somewhat awake after a very long night last night. I won't go into details, but it was a long night last night. So, yeah, my word of the week. Randy took my word, so I'm just gonna go with. I'm gonna go with that emoji.
Okay, well, with those overwhelming words of excitement for this episode, we'll jump right into it. We start out the episode. We come right back to camp after the previous tribal council. Kellen obviously feels that she's on the bottom and needs to find new allies because she's alone, in her words. So we see her go basically trying to plant some seeds here and there in different people of, hey, I'm willing to work with you now. Also, a little bit later, actually, I think the next morning, we see Donathan and Laurel start to discuss, okay, we did that. What's our next step? Where do we go from here? Do we stick tight? Or do we really start to turn and make a move? And it seems at this point in time, they're leaning towards it's about ready for us to make a move. What do you guys think of Kellen's pitch to people? And then the way at this point in time, Donathan and Laurel were talking about their plans for the future.
For me, I think a little too late for Kellen. I think that this conversation might have been good a week or two ago. I give her credit for trying, but she didn't try hard enough. At least we didn't see her try hard enough. Or she didn't approach the right people to flip. I think that could have been it too. And I think she's unaware of how strong the core four are. Especially not realizing how strong how tight Laurel is with Donathan, with Dominic and Wendell.
I agree with you there. I think that's a very good point, is that this does seem too late. And thinking back to it, it really seems like Desiree kind of sunk Kellen's game a few weeks back. If you think about it, that how she turned so violently against her. And that was a strong number that Kellen had at that before then. And so I think that's kind of interesting looking back to that as such a turning point in the game. And as far as Donathan and Laurel go, I think I support what they did last week. I think we kind of discussed it last week of if they make the move this week, they're good. And at this point in time of the episode, I was happy that it seems like they agree with us that, hey, we didn't have the numbers just right last time. I feel good about it this time. We need to start working that direction. So,
well, agree with you. I did not want them to flip.
Well, want and think what's best for them are different things, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And
yes,
so
that I agree. But I want and what is best. I want Dominic or Wendell to win. but what was best for their game was flipping on them, and that's when they were talking about the flip.
What about you guys?
One thing that's been strange about Kellen, and I haven't paid a lot of attention to exit press, so I'm sure there's information to either completely affirm what I'm going to say or completely prove me wrong. But I agree that it was too late, and I think it was too late because it doesn't appear, based on what we've gotten, that Kellen was making the types of relationships you need to make with multiple people in order to navigate later in the game. So when she's at this point and she's making these pitches, they don't feel like natural pitches. They don't feel like, hey, remember that thing we talked about a while ago? Because we're like buds. Now's the time to do it. And so I think she didn't leave herself a lot of room. Every time something went wrong, she just went back to the exact thing she was comfortable with before.
Well, as far as exit press goes, she kind of made an interesting point in one of the things I read was until the merge, she had never met Laurel or Donathan or Libby. And Donathan and Laurel being so ingrained in a strong relationship with Dominic and Wendell, I think she was at a loss. I think everyone really liked Kellen, and you can kind of see that in the Ponderosa video, that everyone was happy because she's a fun personality that will have fun at Ponderosa. I think everyone really enjoyed her as a person, but I agree with you. I'm not sure if she had those deep connections with really anyone besides Bradley on the season.
Yeah, you need to be able to make the types of connections that turn into strings you can pull. And she didn't have nearly any strings that she could pull from how I'm viewing what she did.
No, I agree with you. I think that's a good point. So from here, we go to the reward challenge, which this was an interesting reward challenge. I actually liked this one. We have pairs. It's a pairs challenge to keep spools on a track and not let them hit the ground, basically. The winner will win a trip for Survivor Goodwill. Oh, yeah, and they get chicken and cake. The normal combination of chicken and chocolate cake. So we see the draft go down. They at least told us for how this draft went down. We didn't actually see it, but they tell us that Ellen picks Sebastian, which is probably smart. He seems like a runner. He seems like he'd have endurance for this. Then we see, I think it was Dominic choose Wendell. I think is who, I know they were paired together, but I think it was Dominic that chose Wendell. And then
Wendell chose Dominic.
Wendell chose Dominic, and we see Donathan choose Laurel, and leaving Angela unpicked. Which these groups really didn't surprise me.
No, absolutely. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly forgot about Angela almost the entire episode. I forgot she was there.
Yeah. But with this, I'm not sure if I think it was a smart idea for Dominic and Wendell to choose each other.
I agree.
Just because you know that you're putting yourselves at a smaller number when you go. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on it. It was a question in my mind.
Here's my thing. I think any given decision that any player makes is determined to be successful or to be a good move or a bad move based on context, right?
Yeah.
So what works for one player in one season may not work for another player in another season. So you can't have like a black and white, this is always good or this is always bad.
Correct.
In most seasons, I would say that Dom and Wendell choosing each other for literally anything at this point is bad.
Yes.
But their context is basically a bunch of people saying, we're never going to challenge you and we're never going to do anything about it. So I don't actually think it was a bad move for them to do this because they've never seen repercussions.
I agree. It definitely turned out well for them. But it was just when I saw it on the TV, I was like, ooh, was that right to do? And then I didn't really think about it again. So
it should be the wrong move. But
correct.
All they had to do was win the challenge.
Correct. So
you know what? I want to say that I was concerned about it, and then we'll get to when they were at the Goodwill, that you saw no discussion about them being together. Like nobody said a word. So I'm like, I guess it's not a big deal because no one's talking about it.
Yeah, and we'll just kind of skip through this because honestly, the way it went down, Dominic and Wendell won. It was a fun challenge. It took a lot of endurance.
Challenge.
It took a lot of thinking ahead and planning. I thought this was a fun twist on some challenges that we've seen similarly before. Well done.
So they kind of look like Donkey Kong from the side.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Which I think I saw
In a
someone
little
post
bit,
on Twitter
I
about
think
that.
they've done something like this on Big Brother too.
Probably.
With balls.
Well, they've definitely done it on Survivor with balls, because you think of the final 4 of Second Chances.
Yeah, multiple tracks. Yeah.
You know that they have that. Yeah, so there's a lot of that. So Wendell and Dominic get to pick one person to go with them, and they announce this is an easy choice. We know who it is. It's Laurel. They are very clear up front about that. I think this is a good pick. And then they choose to send the pirate, which is Sebastian, to Ghost Island. What do you guys think about these picks? Good? Yes? No? I think they're I think they are the picks they had to make.
Yeah,
yes.
I think they're good picks because they need to keep both Laurel and Sebastian as close as possible to them. I think what we're looking
separate from each other. I think.
And I think what we're looking at, and I've made this comparison in the past, is a very one-worldy situation where everybody thinks they're the closest to Dom and Wendell, and Dom and Wendell are doing a masterful job making sure everybody thinks that's the case. And I think this is just an example of that.
But I think they could have taken a little bit more time in choosing Laurel to go with them, because they didn't give it any thought at all before they just choose her, because this kind of triggered some sort of like paranoia in somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So from here we see obviously that Donathan is upset about this. That, well, obviously I'm not in the group. I think if he would have been chosen to go to Ghost Island, he would have been happier. But I think that this obviously showed that there was an issue there. So we'll head on after the challenge. We see Sebastian rolls up to Ghost Island and basically has a 75% chance to pick something good if he risks his vote. And he does. He obviously risks his vote and wins the same thing that Kellen won. Is there any more space on that parchment? Like,
I barely.
Like, there's not a lot of space left.
I cannot.
Yeah, I can't either.
I have none left with Ghost Island.
Ghost Island has been a letdown. Definitely how it started out exciting with the whole you basically survive immunity. I mean, tribal council. Mm-hmm. That's what I liked about it. But then when it started changing, I kind of lost that excitement. And another vote again? I mean, come on. And at this close to the end, it might not make a difference when we have 2 idols out there, and now in an immunity, his vote might mean nothing, and he'll still get voted out.
For me, it's an aesthetic and an atmospheric thing. It's less about what the advantage is and less that it's the same thing we've seen, and more about the fact that this is something they couldn't have given out on Ghost Island if 1, Kellen didn't use it, and 2, Kellen didn't tell everyone she used it. If those 2 things hadn't happened, they couldn't have done this. That's weird. Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
They would have had something. They would have used Steven's
just use something else.
They
should have used Steven's extra vote.
Exactly.
We're all waiting for it.
Yeah. So, and I find it especially weird that it's a steal a vote that's now an extra vote. But whatever, that's beside the point. In my opinion, the only time Ghost Island was really done right was Chris Noble at night. That was my favorite of Ghost Island.
That was fantastic.
Basically just seeing Ghost Island at night.
And then having a sneak
right.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That was the one that stands out to me. Okay, that's what I wanted to see.
But this whole thing just looked kind of lazy. It feels like they're running out of stuff to put on Ghost Island. You know, we're running out of stuff, so let's.
There's still 5 urns left to smash. What's going on?
Yeah,
Randy. The urns mean jack.
I know
crap.
that.
Yeah,
we just got an advantage that was used like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
the urns mean nothing.
Yeah, but that wasn't in an urn. That was in a box.
Girl,
I know. It just bothers me. That bothers
transitive property.
There's 1 week left, and there's
girl, please.
It's just annoying.
Everybody's gonna get an urn.
I'm wondering. There's one. They say in the preview, 1 more trip to Ghost Island. Like, what's happening?
4 people going at the same time.
And it's going to be an advantage. There's no way it's not going to be an advantage.
Oh,
so
it's absolutely an advantage.
It's going to be some crazy advantage.
It's going to turn out that they were never instructed to go left to right, and they just did that. I think that's the only reason there's 5 urns left.
Could be,
honestly.
And they had choices. I don't know. It's crazy. So, and on the reward, we see Dominic and Wendell and Laurel bond a little bit further and saying, "We brought you. This is our 3," and we see Laurel kind of make her pitch to show the guys, "Hey, I'm fine where I'm at. I'm not going to make a move. My hope is that you guys split the vote and I get the votes. That's why I'm approaching this." And if she believes that or if she's just saying that, I'm not sure. I think she's just saying it for the most part. But I liked that she said it because I like that she said it to them because it makes her less threatening to them that they don't think she's going to flip.
They're not stupid.
I think no.
They chose Laurel because they're afraid that she might flip. Wendell says it.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is that I think she's trying to bring that down a little bit.
I mean, Wendell and Dominic could have a choice. They're bringing fucking Angela to the final because nobody even remembers she's there. Half of them wouldn't even know her name.
Yeah, I don't know. In my mind, I had this conversation with someone earlier that am I stupid for thinking that there is a legitimate possibility of this?
Possibility of what?
Of Dominic and Wendell splitting the votes in the end and someone else being there.
How many jurors will we have?
There's 10 jurors. And I'm thinking that if there's Dominic and Wendell, and then the Navides that are on, the Malolos that are on the jury, if they tend to vote for the Malolo that survived,
it has to be it would have to be a 4-3-3 vote for anybody sitting next to them to win.
And there's 4 Malolos.
Not happening.
That would be on the jury, I think. But we can discuss that. We'll get there at the end. So I shouldn't have gotten us off topic.
The answer is yes. You're crazy.
It's a thought in my head, and I've been wondering it. And when she said it there tonight,
don't jinx it. The only 2 that deserve to win are Dominic and Wendell. And yes, you hate the word "deserve."
No, I don't disagree with you there. I like Dominic. I like Wendell. I like Laurel. I'm fine. I like these 3. So,
and I like Dominic, and I didn't like him for a long time, and he did grow on me. It took a while, but he finally calmed down a little and started playing the game.
Well, on the topic of what Laurel's saying, though, Randy, because that's where you started, right?
Yeah, that's where I started.
I do think that whether she believes it or whether she's just saying it, neither one of those is a good move. It's a terrible idea to believe it because that's not enough to rely on. And saying it, I get what you're saying and I get what she's saying, but she could have accomplished the same goal saying far more believably dumb things, right? To throw out something that's strategic as an example of how you're just sort of like, whatever. Like, Michaela played with rocks and people got scared. You know,
I think they know
all she has to do is say, like, I just really want to get there with you guys, right? Like, I'd rather be there with you.
I think they know she's strategic enough that if all of a sudden she's like, I just want to be with you guys, that I don't know. That could be completely way off base here, but that's just, I think that you know where you are in the game. And the second someone says something like, I just want the joy of being there with you two, that's more of a red flag to me.
Not like that, right? Because I think there were very, very early comparisons between Aubrey, Bracco, and Laurel, right? And I think that a lot of those were a stretch early on, but I think they're becoming more true now because Aubrey was viewed as a fearful player. I have a hard time thinking that anybody thinks Laurel is a confident, assertive player on the island. She's had a number of opportunities to make a move, and she's stayed away from all of them. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility for her to say that she just wants to go with these people and for them to be like, that's cool because she's never going to make a move against us anyway. She hasn't done it yet. She's not going to do it anytime soon. Like, I don't think that they should lean on that 100%, but I think she could make that argument as long as she's not bubbly because she's not that, you know. No. She shouldn't act ditzy because she isn't. But I think she can play a relationship card. And I actually this is like a different topic. I think she just should. Like at this point, from a viewing perspective, I think she just should
play a viewing card, like a.
No. For me as a viewer, like Laurel has had all these opportunities to make a move, and then gives us 8,000 reasons why she didn't make them. Yeah. I like Laurel a lot, and I really, really wish she would just say, "I like these guys more. I'd rather play with these guys."
Yeah, and she did.
It's not smart, but I like that.
At one spot where, and we'll get there. She did kind of hint towards that direction, but I agree with you with what you're saying there.
Yeah, and I want to just touch that. I do like Laurel. I don't think that she's a fantastic player this season, but I do like her as a person in this game. I do. She's interesting to watch. And just like Donathan, I really like Donathan. He's not a great player, but he's extremely likable and great TV.
Well, I was explaining to somebody who's a first-time viewer of Survivor this season that in Survivor, you're going to get two different types of seasons. You're either going to get a bunch of terrible players all playing together and a bunch of great players all playing together, and then you have an even playing field, or you're going to end up with a season where some people are great and everybody else is not, and we have the latter. Right? Mm-hmm. So I love this cast. I think as characters, there are so few duds. Even the ones we didn't see, we're learning are actually really interesting, like a Jenna or a Chelsea. Or I still believe Angela is a total weirdo, and I love it. The problem is there are people that I like a lot. I just don't like their game. So anybody whose game I'm talking about and being down on, it's purely that, because I think these characters are fantastic.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. People who watch Survivor, if we had only great players and strategic players, it could be boring. You need a Chris Noble and a Donathan in the mix to entertain us.
I think, well, what I'm saying is I think it needs to be an even playing field, and it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we had, it was really just Wendell, Michael, Dominic. That was it. And then the rest were just
I want to give Kellen a little bit of credit, but
I'm not giving him. What credit are you
let's
giving
move on.
Kellen?
Let's move on. Let's get back to where we were going. Let's get back on this.
There's not that much more to talk about in this episode, Randy. But carry on.
So, immunity. We get to the immunity challenge, and they have to assemble the puzzle bridge, the ladder bridge, and then a slide puzzle. Wendell leads most of the way, and he actually solves the slide puzzle first, but re-examines it. And then Laurel solves it and calls for Jeff first and wins the challenge. After a little bit of talking, Wendell's like, "Yeah, the right decision was made." I actually did go back and watch this scene again because I wanted to break down what Wendell did, and he really does solve it. Kind of put his arms to not really up and out like he kind of said, but kind of to the side, like rechecking it. Doesn't really make any sort of movements until after it is called for Laurel. I think the right decision was made.
That was a really, really kind way, Randy, of you saying Wendell was being a whiny baby, and this was his worst look.
No, I agree. At first, I was like, this is not a good look for Wendell. But then he backed off that quickly to try to save some face. The second he starts fighting against Laurel winning, you lose Laurel. And I think that he caught himself mid bitching and backed off. No, I fully agree with it. I was annoyed at first.
Let me tell you right now, I saw that Wendell had it first. I saw his arms go up. And I said, why isn't he freaking saying anything? And then Laurel calls it, and I'm like, oh my God, Wendell had that. And I agree. Like, I think it was just natural instincts to be like, I had it first.
Yeah.
And then I think he realized, wait a minute, I can't. I can't do anything because this is Laurel. And now he's basically in Laurel's eyes, not fighting for the immunity and just saying, you know what? It is Laurel's. And and then she thanks him.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's my biggest issue with this whole thing is since when did we get back over the bell curve and down towards the bottom of Jeff Probst just being like, no, cut it out, stop. Like, why was he entertaining this even a little bit? Like, anybody who's watched the show knows that you call Jeff over, and he was giving it a moment and being like, all right, is everybody good? Is everybody cool? Like, Jeff, just shut him down, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was just for
you didn't
TV
call it.
purposes.
I think he was
just wants airtime.
producing. Yeah, he was producing at that point in time.
Yeah,
I don't think he was ever letting
100%.
Wendell get away with anything there.
No, but he had
Jeff's
to let
feelings were hurt.
I don't know.
He had to let the viewers know he listened to Wendell and let Wendell know this has never happened. So he had to basically let us know, the viewers, new viewers, people who don't watch like us, you have to call it out and then explain it to Wendell when he's really explaining it to the viewers, not to Wendell.
I'll be curious to see the rest of Wendell's story, because this is stuff that easily could have been cut out. It mattered not that much, I don't think. I get the argument that people are going to make later, but I don't think it mattered that much.
Yeah.
This round, everybody's brain was just kind of mush, and I think they're just everybody's burnt out, and everybody's just making crazy moves here and there. Yeah.
So from there, this leads into the next spot that, based on that, Laurel says in confessional that she feels like now she can't turn on Wendell after what they just went through at the immunity. So Dom and Wendell and Laurel get together and all decide to vote for Kellen. They pull Donathan into it, and Donathan basically says, well, if you're going to blindside me, let me know.
Here's the thing. I don't like this thing. It's like, why you're so close to the end? Why find your conscience at this point in the game? Like, what's the point?
I'm all fine with him making moves, but shut your mouth about it a little bit.
Yeah, and that too.
That drives me crazy. So Donathan's worried that he's getting played and starts openly talking about it. Talking to Wendell about how, well, Dominic has incentive to get rid of me because he knows I'm going to vote for him in the end. I know I'm going to be on the jury. What did you guys think of the way that Donathan approached these two conversations?
Poorly, at best.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that anybody's playing producer, I'll tell you who it was, and it was Donathan. Donathan was screwed, and Donathan was making a scene, and I love Donathan for it because it gave us something to talk about. But Donathan was, from his perspective, I think was dead in the water and was like, all right, well, let's just throw everything against the wall.
I like that. Just play devil's advocate. What if he said that to Wendell? To try to get Wendell to flip on Dominic. Like, I'm going to vote for Dominic in the end. So you vote me out. Dominic has my vote. So maybe then Wendell will think, maybe I should get rid of Dominic.
Well, he does talk about that in confessional of, if Dom and Wendell aren't on the same page, that's great for me. So that's one thing that he is alluding to, why he's having that conversation, to try to plant some seeds for the Civil War.
Conversation was bad for Donathan. I don't. I think that it was. Listen, Donathan's playing for fourth place. He needs to plant these seeds. He's not strategic enough to come up with things, so he needs to be Donathan. So telling Wendell, I'm going to vote for Dominic to win, in the end, it would make me want to eventually get rid of Dominic, and I'm really looking forward to when these two finally flip. Because they both still have immunity.
Yep. So at this point in time, Dominic and Wendell start discussing to come up with a plan. And Wendell has a fake idol that he's made. Of course, he does. And he's asked Dominic for an old clue that he had to make it a little bit more legitimate. Dominic gets that out of his bag and walks over and hands it to Wendell. And Donathan sees all this go down. And immediately, what's going on? Why? What did you hand off? It's nothing. No, we don't have anything. And this really frustrates Donathan, and he goes to Kellen and proposes a flip on Dominic. And at that point in time, the four around the hammock at the hammock plan come up with a potential discussion to vote for Donathan. What do you guys think of this whole what's in the bag scenario?
I think Donathan's reaction wasn't great, but I also think everything Wendell and Dominic were doing in that moment was also bad. Like, I don't know why in the world they were doing what they were doing with somebody else there at camp. And the moment they're called out on it, you need to just pull that person in instead of being like, oh, nothing, dude. It was just like something of his that like I was, borrowing and giving back. Like that just looks fishy, dudes. So like everybody did a bad job, I think. I think what Donathan could have used that information a whole lot better. I also think that Dom and Wendell could have used their mistake to their advantage.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that it was just a weird series of events there that I didn't understand why anyone was doing what they were doing.
Right? It's like, what is... Everybody is just like totally...
Why
like
is everyone acting this way?
Like, total mush brain. No one's like thinking one step ahead of what they're doing.
Well, from right there, that's a great sentence to lead into my the next thing. At Tribal Council, right away, Jeff asked about the challenge, and they talk about how the island has drained them. They're not thinking straight. Dominic says he would have solved that slide puzzle so much quicker at home. And because you see, he was frantic the whole time he was changing any puzzle piece. Mm-hmm. And they talk about the challenge and how things went down with Wendell and Laurel and kind of recap that basically for the jury. Kellen pipes up that she's worried about that she's on the bottom. And then Donathan basically says, don't worry because it's me. I'm the one going tonight. At this point in time, we see some whispers in the back row between Dominic, Wendell, and Sebastian. And they eventually decide that they're going to go with the split vote. I wasn't sure which side the split vote was going to be on, but a split vote. When it comes down to it, Donathan and Kellen split the vote 3-3 with 1 vote for Dominic. And then on the revote, Kellen is voted out 4-1. And I'm 90% sure the 1 is Angela. I think is what was been confirmed, that the one that ended up still voting for Donathan was Angela. What did you guys think of this tribal council? Did they make the right decision going with Kellen? Did anyone play this correctly?
That last stray vote was from Sebastian.
Oh, it was? Okay.
It was.
Thank you for that. I will update drafts later because I did it as if it was Angela.
Whatever.
Did anyone did anyone do the right thing?
And we lost that.
I'd say this. The right thing would have been voting out Wendell. Not the thing I wanted, but it would have been the right thing.
The thing is, they were throwing around Kellen's name. I think Donathan should have just voted for Kellen, and it was done. And then we didn't have to go to the revote.
I don't know why he voted Dominic.
Yeah,
when he had to know that nobody else was. I didn't get that, and that could have caused him to go home. Just because I thought about that, I said, could Donathan be pulling a Michael right now and messing everything up?
Well,
but
Donathan thought he had Kellen, and he definitely did have Kellen until Tribal Council happened. Mm-hmm. Kellen basically said in her exit press that she heard talk of the vote split behind her. She saw this happening. She saw how things were going down with Donathan. She planned on voting Dominic the whole way through until she heard that and thought she could have a chance if she tied it up, and ended up throwing a vote into Donathan.
Yeah.
But then again, I still agree with you guys. 2 votes isn't enough to get out Dominic. If you have Donathan and Kellen, who else did you think you had? Kellen flat out said that she knew she lost Sebastian about a couple rounds ago, and after Chelsea was gone, she lost Angela. So she was on her own. And you see in this episode, you see Angela kind of buddy up to Dominic and Wendell about what the plan for the vote is.
Did Angela talk?
Angela was involved in conversations, but I don't know if we heard her speak. But she was there making her weird facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this was a split vote. I wasn't sure where the revote was going to go.
I wasn't sure either.
I think this was the right decision for Dom and Wendell, I think. Because at the end of the day, Dom and Wendell never actually voted for Donathan. Either time. They voted for Kellen. Mm-hmm. So they do have a little bit of plausible deniability with Donathan. But still, they know where that conversation. And can we talk about can I say something? No, you can't.
Hilarious.
I thought, and I really appreciated Dominic kind of bringing that back later. Like, remember, we're done with this conversation. You ended this conversation. I loved the callback. That wins me over every time.
Yeah. Callbacks are that's 1 point every time.
Exactly.
I mean, this is terrible gameplay, great TV. So go, Donathan.
Was it even great TV, really?
Well,
This
actually,
is
okay.
hilarious.
That's a good question, because I thought that this tribal council was terribly bad TV. Like, I didn't enjoy watching it. I didn't think any of it was enjoyable. I thought it was uncomfortable. I thought the arguments were superfluous and not really constructive, especially given the result that we got anyway. So that's where my straight face, emoji is. Like, there were so many times I was watching it and I was like, this is not going to matter, is it? And then it didn't matter. It's so frustrating.
So I always stand by that all Survivor is good Survivor to me. I'm not really too crazy like, oh, the season's terrible. I am over it. I will say this was my least favorite episode of the season. But overall, it was still Survivor. Because I like Survivor for the strategy, and there wasn't a whole lot of strategy this episode. So I think that kind of that's why it was kind of frustrating for me. And I understand. I don't know. I get why everyone made the decisions that they made. Yes, I obviously wish Laurel would have flipped and voted out Dominic or Wendell. I understand a little bit why she didn't, but I don't know if I agree with her. It's frustrating.
This she can't build up this big move and then just chicken out on it like time after time. And we're coming down to the wire. There's only 6 people left. Like, is she gonna get another shot at them? No, I don't think so. If she's gonna go down this road, it's too late. It's way too late.
Yeah, it's getting awfully frustrating there. And as my 14-year-old nephew texted me as he was watching the show, you can't feel bad in Survivor. And I was like, thank you. I was like, because when she's immediately like, I can't vote out. Like, at first, when Wendell lost that immunity challenge and Laurel won, I was like, oh, this is going to be stone cold from Laurel that she's going to flip on him and send him out on this round where all that went down. And we didn't get it.
Yeah.
And she should have. What better opportunity?
For me, I was happy she didn't, because I really like Wendell and Dominic, and I was happy for what I want and who I want to win. But it was a very bad game move. But here's the thing. It's happened time and time again where people, and it's usually women, and I don't mean she has a crush on either Wendell or Dominic, but women play with more emotions. And I do believe that sometimes they feel some loyalty to where they don't want to upset the person. Like, I think that, yes, you're playing for $1 million and it's easy to say, I would cut you for it. But I think sometimes it's not, because she feels this loyalty and connection to them. And she doesn't want to betray them.
That plays perfectly into what I was saying, though. Like, if she just doesn't want to, if she's just close to them, just own that. Just say you want to play with them. Just say that you're tight with them. Say that you've been wanting to go to the end with them for a long time. And I know it's a risk to sit next to them. I know that they've done a lot, and I've sat back, but there's no one else I'd rather go with. That's cool. That's fine. I don't like it if I'm rooting for you, right? Like, it's not your best game move, but at least you're just giving me a concrete reason, and I'm cool with that. Plenty of players have played like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that, Laurel could only win if she's sitting next to Donathan and Angela.
Well, let's put a pin in that real quick. Let's wrap up this episode, and then we'll talk about the future. We'll talk about the finale. Well, let's just wrap up where we are. I'm going to say goodbye to the person that I've barely mentioned her name this whole episode, and that's Kellen, that we lost this episode. I was so back and forth on Kellen all season. I think that she had some strong moments. She had some annoying moments. I think she had 2 big points in the game where her game completely changed. when she lost Bradley at the merge, and when Desiree really flipped on her, she lost a lot of power. And those were two interesting points that really changed her game. I liked Kellen as a character. I think that she had some fun reactions to things. I thought that she was spunky. I liked that she was good with the puzzles. I liked that the moments where she's with Dominic and say, no, we want to vote him out now. And just little things like that. I liked her as a character. I don't know how great she was as a player, but in this season of not a ton of great players, I think she was one of the better ones. I don't know.
What?
I do. I preface that with, on a season of not great players, I think she was one of the better ones.
How about she just was on a season of not great players, and then
she was one of them.
That's what I'm saying.
I think she was not a bad player. I really don't think she was a bad player.
I think she has played poorly. I think she has played a bad game. And I think, she's a player that can learn from what she did. I do believe that. I think that, if she had made a couple different decisions, she would have put herself in a better position. But I really do think she's played a bad game. She gave herself the task of trusting her gut. She made that her strategy, and she kept relying on it when it wasn't working. And you have to adjust. And after the first 7 times your gut failing you, maybe use your brain,
Yeah.
Had she handled it differently when she was told Desiree was going to flip, and instead of approaching Desiree and saying, you would never do that to me, that was it. That was her sinking ship. She should have just listened to what was said and said, how are we going to handle this now? But she didn't. She ratted out Dominic, and that was it. That was just, I think, her worst move of the game.
I also think it's worth mentioning, because I'm giving her a really, really hard time. Like, a lot of credit has to go to Dom and Wendell. Dom and Wendell are playing people so well that those players are making bad moves. If there weren't somebody that everybody was just really attached to, they wouldn't be making the bad moves they're making. So I will say that Kellen made a ton of bad moves, but I'm saying it with that in mind.
I think that's very fair.
Wendell and Dominic are so great that either one of them, I know people don't like the word deserving, are deserving to win. Either one of them. Like, if either one of them won and they were against each other, even though I want Wendell, I wouldn't be like, oh, man, Dominic won. I'd be like, all right, he's played a great game. The first few weeks, he aggravated me with the idol, not having it, faking it. He came around, and he's playing a great game now.
Okay,
at Final 7, there are 5 people I would have been. We'll get to that, but I've already started, so I'm going to finish the sentence. At Final 7, there are 5 people that I would have been fine with winning. I don't think this is a cast of people that is slim pickings for a satisfying winner.
Yeah. So from here,
except for Angela.
He's sort of 5 out of 7.
5 out of 7.
So from here, I will update the draft, and then we'll talk about where we're going into next week. So where we are is right now, I am still leading with 151 with 2 people left. I have Sebastian and Laurel, and I lost Kellen. Kim is in second with Wendell and 125 points. Saul is in third with 112 points, and Dominic and Donathan. And then we have Mark in fourth with 101 with Angela. As I was talking to everyone before this episode, I really think the only way that I don't win is if Wendell goes on some run and gets a lot of jury votes. I think that's just based on how the points are. But there's a lot of points left in the finale, so it could definitely happen. But so from here, normally this is where I would ask who the MVP is of the episode. I'm not going to ask that this episode. This episode was really weird. I don't care.
Yeah. None of us do, actually.
Here's what I want to discuss. To me, the only thing that is still an interesting thing that's out there left in the game is what happens if Dom and Wendell are both in the finals at the final tribal council. To me, that's the only intriguing piece of the puzzle that's left, and the only way the finale is going to be exciting, I think. is either if they're both there or neither of them are there. Because
if neither of them are there, I'll be bored.
But I think that means the winner's still up for grabs, is what I'm saying. Because if one of them is there, that one is winning.
That's not the case, though. We've seen it before. We've said, "Oh, this person's gonna win." That's not the case. If I'm telling you now, if we have Angela and Sebastian in the finals, I'm gonna break my freaking TV. I will be so upset and disappointed that two people who you barely remember are in the finals. Would be crazy.
I don't think that's that weird. I don't think that's that weird.
I think if that happens, it means Laurel finally was able to pull it off.
At 6?
I'm not saying I think that's going to happen.
Laurel, it could be.
I'm saying in the alternate universe where Sebastian and Angela are both sitting in the finals, I think what that means is Laurel managed to bring them there. I don't know how else they get there.
Yeah, true. Well, unless somehow something weird happens with Fire at Final Four. You know, with the Final Four in play of it being known that it's Fire, that throws a wrench into things. We'll see how that plays out. But where we're left with 2 normal tribal councils. We'll have Final 6, and then we'll have Final 5, which is the last time for idols at Final 5.
And we still have 2 in play.
And we still have 2 in play.
And then if somebody wins individual, that means that it's only up to 2. And if Sebastian has his extra vote, Sebastian's safe, that person goes home.
And we still have Ghost Island.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a lot going on at the next 2 tribal councils, and then at 4 we'll have Fire. So at this point in time, let's say one person. Who do you think is going to win? Not who do you want to win. That's a completely different question. Let's talk about who do you think is going to win, and I am going to start with Mark.
Dominic.
Why is Dominic going to win this game?
Because it doesn't matter if he's there with Wendell or not. He has made a lot of the more visible moves, and I think the jury sees it. I think they would, even if Wendell is there with him, they would see Wendell as second in charge, and that Dominic has been controlling more of the action within the context of the game. So I think even though his moves were super messy, he was making more moves, more of the moves that they were clearly seeing over Wendell.
Yep. Kim?
I will say what Mark said, but the opposite. I think Wendell. I think Wendell has made more of the obvious moves. Wendell's the one that pulled in Laurel. Wendell is the one that kept the alliance strong with Laurel and Donathan, and Laurel would vote for Wendell if she's in jury. And I think then Donathan in return would vote for Wendell. I'm trying to think of the jury makeup. So we would have Chris, Jenna,
Libby, Desiree, Jenna,
Chelsea.
Michael, Chelsea, Kellen right now.
I still think Wendell, it really is. I also think Wendell might be a better speaker in jury to tribal. I think Dominic is good too. Don't get me wrong. Either one of them could win, but I'm going to go with Wendell. That's who I think will win.
What do you think, Doug?
Without thinking too much about jury vote breakdowns, I think my gut says Dominic.
Trust your gut.
Trust my gut. That's better than Kellen's. Anyway, I think Dominic, because despite the two of them really dominating this whole time, I think late in the game, Wendell's been making slight slip-ups. I also think that the perception of who people expect you to be matters a lot. And I think from day one, people expected Dominic to do the types of things he's doing and rub people wrong the way that he has. I think Wendell, however, when he's going to make those mistakes, people will hold them against them because they weren't expecting him to make those mistakes in the first place.
That's good. I like that.
We have Selwyn in the chat, and he says Dominic wins.
Oh, is that Saul? I thought that might be you.
That's not me.
I wasn't sure if you were on his account.
I am.
I really wondered that earlier.
So it was a good pick. I know that Randy and I gave you a little bit of heat in the beginning about your Dominic pick, but I'm gonna take everything back and say solid pick with Dominic.
That was a number one overall. That was a number one overall pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great pick. I really do like him.
I am going to go with my winner pick. I am going with Wendell. I'm very torn on this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I really hope for a potential tie vote. Is there a chance Laurel breaks the tie for Wendell? I don't know. There's lots of different options out there, but I think if they're both in there, it's going to be a really exciting final tribal council and vote. I think that Wendell has, Dominic has a couple immunities, and Wendell has a chance for a few more immunities, but Wendell sure has performed well in a lot of the other challenges. He seems to not do very good in the immunities, except for this one that he won, but then decided not to call it. I'm so torn. I don't have a strong opinion here on this one, but Kellen's gut is telling me to go with Wendell.
So it'll definitely be Dominic.
Yeah. And just to kind of check back in with the chat, Patty says her word is sheep, and Saul says his word is Yanni.
I almost did that, and then I opted not to. I think you brought it in.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Saul. So, do we have anything else to wrap up here at the end? Anything that you want to throw out there before we go?
Yes, because I think we did this during Triple H. I think we went through each person and said, what is their chance and best case scenario, right? And I don't think it'll take too long because I think half of them don't stand a chance. Okay. But I'd be interested in doing that if other people are.
Let's start out with that. So let's start out with, what's the question that you're asking here?
For each of the final 6.
What do they need to do to win? Or
do they have a chance? And if they have a chance, what's their best case scenario for pulling off the win?
Okay.
Can we take Angela and Sebastian out of this equation?
We'll at least ask the question. The question will at least be posed. Let's start out with Wendell. What does Wendell have a chance to win? I think 2 of us said he does. And what does he need to do to get there?
I would say Wendell has a chance to win, and his best case scenario for winning is intending to go to the end with Dominic, winning the final challenge, agreeing to let Dominic do the fire challenge, and Dominic losing.
Agree.
That's how I think Wendell has the best shot at winning.
And I think vice versa for Dominic. In all honesty, I think vice versa for Dominic.
I think that's best case for Dominic, but I do think he has a bit more equity.
You're probably right. With the immunity challenges, he may. But I think that I think it would be interesting, and I think it would be smart of them to not take each other in that final 4.
Yeah.
Do you guys have? So we'll ask the question together for Dominic and Wendell. What do you guys? Do either of you other 2 have an opinion on that?
No, Wendell needs to cut down. Yep.
You think
they both need to cut each other?
Yeah, they do.
Straight up, like out in front, just cut them.
No, I just think what you said. Your
the final 4
is good.
Not really making a direct attack against them, but putting them in a situation that they may not survive. I think that's good. What does Sebastian need to do to win?
Go into an alternative universe.
There's nothing he can do. There is only him and Angela. They have a final 2, and it's him and Angela, and they don't remember her name, so they write down Sebastian's name.
Imagine for a moment that Edgic and examining the edit don't exist.
Oh, God.
Sebastian stands a chance against Donathan and Angela.
Yes, agree. That's my thought, too.
I think that's it.
He needs to be with those 2.
Yes. I think that's a teeny tiny, sliver, shriveled up piece of a chance. But that's if I'm ignoring the edit.
The only concern that I have there is him in the final tribal council. I'm not sure how that would go. But there was one thing that he actually posted on Facebook today from Sebastian, where by his high school, in the yearbook, he was named most likely to be on a reality show.
So there you go.
He has a quote in there about something about you guys can find me at tribal council or something. It was about Survivor. And it was really kind of like, I was like, oh, that it kind of changes a little bit of my thoughts on Sebastian, that at least he's aware of Survivor.
I think Sebastian's only argument would be, one, he'd have to talk about how much of a fan he is and how much it means to him. And two, he would have to talk about he saw what was going on and his only option was to be self-preservatory, which was to just try to buddy up and know that he wasn't going to overtake them, but know that he could hopefully sneak in underneath them. He could use his little remora metaphor all over again.
I liked that metaphor. I thought that was a great metaphor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Donathan need to do to win this game? I don't think Donathan can win.
I don't think so either.
I mean, he can bring Sebastian and Angela with him, and that might be the only possibility that he can win.
I agree.
He needs to be
I think that there's a chance that Donathan could beat Sebastian. Yes. We're not.
I have those two close to each other, but I think I have Sebastian a little bit above Donathan, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the combination's the same. Like, I agree with your combination, but I'm with Randy where it's like just a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's close there, but I think I have Sebastian a little bit higher.
Yeah.
We're not even. We're skipping Angela. There's nothing.
No, I'm not there yet. I still have two people left. Yeah.
Calm down.
I'm gonna go with, what do you guys think Angela's chances are?
Kim?
I think that they'd have to even remember her name. I mean, it could just be an invisible edit that I don't know, but I really haven't even seen her barely talk. And so there's nothing. She's the person I would drag to Final 3 in a heartbeat. I don't think she'll get to Final 3 because I think that Wendell and Dominic will not cut Laurel for fear of losing her jury vote.
Mark, is there even like game stuff Angela could argue?
Yeah, once Hell Freeze is over.
Remember when she deep-throated that slug?
Yeah, I swallowed that thing so fast.
That still weirds me out.
Yeah, I think her chances are like 0 and 0. Like edit included 0, edit excluded 0.
Yeah. So here's the interesting one to me.
Mm-hmm.
What are Laurel's chances, and what does she need to do?
Laurel wins if she cuts Wendell and Dominic. I think that's the only way she wins.
She's cut them both. And then
neither one. She can't be sitting next to either one.
Yeah.
It's hard to cut both of them.
I think if she is successful in cutting one of them and makes it clear before she gets to Final Tribal that her goal would have been to cut both, if she's successful in even one of them, I think there's a shot. She would need to be sitting next to... I think it's slim. I think it's very, very slim. I think she would need to be sitting next to Wendell specifically. I think Kellen would be integral in trying to make that happen, arguing for Laurel, even though we've seen them sort of like
I don't know if she would ever support Laurel that strongly.
I think she might. I think here's why I think it could potentially happen under really bizarre circumstances. If Laurel is successful and given credit for getting rid of Dom, and then she's sitting next to Wendell and somebody else, probably anybody else, to be honest, and the jury's willing to give her credit for trying and succeeding halfway. And then that sort of like weird women's contingency, if that ended up being stronger than successful, I could see a couple of them being like, all right, yes, like this is our chance to solidify what that thing was supposed to be. And Wendell, you also pissed us off a couple times. But I think it's really, really slim, really slim.
Well, there is a point there, because out of our final 13 that will make up either the jury or the finalists, 7 of which are women, 6 of which are men. So there is a female majority. I don't know. I don't know if I see anything with that actually happening for Laurel.
I don't think it'll split like specifically like it'll succeed because women vote for Laurel and men vote otherwise. I think it would require some of those women like a Chelsea or a Kellen to make strong arguments for Laurel and not explicitly make the argument that the women should vote for Laurel. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not so much sure if I'm on board with the women vote as much as I'm on board for the Malolo vote.
Yeah. That actually that makes sense. If Donathan is sitting on the jury and it's not because Laurel like aggressively cut him,
then that's for Malolos because that's Michael, Donathan, Jenna, and who's the other one? Because there's a fourth.
I don't know, but they're there.
Noble?
No.
Libby.
Okay, so here's best case scenario for Laurel, right? She's sitting next to Sebastian and Angela, and she wasn't explicitly responsible for Donathan going home. I think that's her best shot. I don't know how that happens because I don't know how both Wendell and Dom go.
They make them in that both Dominic and Wendell.
If one of them goes in 6,
how do they both go? One of them has to go at fire, then.
One of them has to go at fire, and one of them has to go at 6. One of them has to be blindsided at 6, and one of them has to go out at fire.
Or at 5 after they use their idol at 6. You know what I mean? Like if they felt in danger at 6, use their idol up, and you know what I mean? Like they have one of the next 2.
Yeah.
So I do think that, and if Laurel wins some challenges here at the end, if she runs in the last 3 or so, like I don't know. I think there's something to be said there. I'm looking forward to it.
Compelling possibility. I don't know how the cards would have to fall in an incredible way.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I'm looking forward to the finale. We are just 6 days away on May 23rd, where we will see the finale of Survivor Ghost Island, and assuming we will see the preview of the yet formally released name for Survivor 37, which we will not say until it is formally released. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here.
So with that, Mark, where can people find you online? And do you have any other comments to say before you go?
This is going to be a very exciting finale, even though we kind of have an idea of who has the better chance of winning. It's still going to be fun to see the process of them getting there. So I'm very excited about the finale. And also the game is ramping up over in New Zealand. So follow me on right here, youtube.com/MarcoPolo310 for our New Zealand coverage. And also follow me on Twitter at MarcoPolo310.
Kim, any last thoughts and anything to tell anyone? And where can people find you?
It's going to be an exciting finale. Go Wendell and go Dom. And you can find me at Kim is Bored on Twitter.
And Doug?
No real last thoughts, but you can find me on Twitter at Ikkybooley, ICKYBOOLEY.
Yeah, and my last thoughts are, we may think we know who the winner is, but we have 2 super interesting people that if they're at the end, it can make very exciting. And that's what I'm hoping for, is an exciting final tribal council. It may be a little bit of a slog to get there, but I think it's going to be worth it for the final tribal council. I have a lot of faith in that we might see something fun. So you can find me online at Randy Knoop. That's RandyKNUP. Until next time, we will see you when we are crowning our next Soul Survivor. Yeah. See you guys next week.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.